Hi, this is George, and I'm talking with Larry. And Larry, what were we just talking about?
Cleveland.
We were talking about Cleveland. That's right. I actually we talked about this last night, and I wrote it down. Where did my note go? Okay. So this is what you said. All right. You said I had no feelings driving through that country. All right. And then what you did is you actually talked about the Rockies, because the Rockies is what you said. That actually generated you could understand the country. Could you expand upon that? What did you mean by that, Larry?
Well, I enjoy the mountains.
So, but again, the mountains are great, but what didn't strike you out? So tell me about when were you in Cleveland, and what was the circumstances?
I was on my honeymoon in 1965.
Okay.
And I think I just drove through the state very, very fast to get. Our thing was to get home for Christmas. And we had to drive cross country to get home for Christmas.
Right.
And we just whizzed through Cleveland. So I don't really know anything about it.
So again, I'm trying to expand this and picture this in my head. Okay. So where were you coming from, and where were you going? What was the route that you were taking? And I mean, come on, this is the worst time to be driving through Cleveland. All right, it's even if it's just December, right? If it's not around Christmas, but it's usually bad there. Okay, but I can see why you would get a bad impression. So, anyways, where were you coming from, and where were you going? You were coming from New York?
Coming from Montreal.
And so
dropping down to South Bend, Indiana.
Okay, so do you remember which way you went around the lake? Did you go around Buffalo and through Buffalo, or did you go the other way, like through Windsor and Detroit? Is that right?
Never got close to Detroit. Never went there.
Okay, all right.
We were below that.
Yeah, so you must have come around the other way, right? Which is coming down like New York State and things like that. Yeah, and so again, and just blowing by, I mean, I got to tell you, my reaction is that's kind of how in 1965, that's how insignificant Cleveland was. Is that when you were driving through, and that's kind of what Cleveland's known for, right?
In 1965, what made me even think about Cleveland is Jim Brown.
The Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
Tell me about what you think about Jim Brown and what you remember.
I met Jim Brown in the south of Spain.
What?
He tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "You in the tournament?" I said, "No." I said,
"What tournament was that?"
A tennis tournament.
Okay.
That he was working with Raquel Welch on a film called The 100 Rifles. I was working on a film called The Deserter with some celebrities.
Whoa, oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, so if you go to Internet Movie Database to pick up the story here, and you type in Larry Stewart, right? You're credited as an actor in a movie, The Deserter, with John Wayne.
His son.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened, and what year was it again?
1969, 70.
Okay, so Raquel Welch, Jim Brown, 100 Rifles, and he taps you on the shoulder and says,
We're
"Are you
staying at the same hotel in Torremolinos?"
Okay, and so he taps you on the shoulder and say, "Are you in the tennis tournament?" Basically.
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said, "I'm looking for a partner," and he said something. I don't remember the dialogue, but he said something like, "I'm looking for a partner too."
No, Larry, because if you tell me that you played tennis with Jim Brown, I don't know if that's...
We kicked the shit out of Chuck Connors and Ricardo Montalban.
That's right, because you knew Ricardo Montalban. You were dating his daughter?
Jim Brown asked me how to hold the racket. I said, "Just hold it like you're shaking hands." It's called the shake hand grip.
Okay.
Never played tennis in his life. We played. I don't know who served first, but when Jim Brown served the ball, nobody could return it.
I bet.
Nobody could return it.
Okay.
It was 140 miles an hour. Average speed of a tennis ball on a serve is about 80 to 100.
So Jim Brown was smoking it in the south of Where was this? The south of Spain. Right. I was going to say south of France. So, can I ask you about... I mean, because apparently you've dated hot women in your life, and you were dating Ricardo Montalban's daughter?
Yes, I was.
And so again, you mentioned Anthony Quinn and... Who was
Henry Fonda.
And Henry Fonda. Tell me about that story again.
It was a short-lived story.
Yeah.
The movie ended. There were the introductions.
Hold on, wait a second. The movie ended. So when you told me the story, okay, you said that you came home from a date with the daughter and they were in the kind of private screening room.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And you sat down in the back, right? Or stood in the back?
I sat down in the back with Anita.
Okay, and you were watching the movie, and the way you told it is you heard the voices.
I heard the voice of Anthony Quinn first.
Okay.
And immediately following his voice, Henry Fonda's. But I already recognized everybody else's voice inside the room.
Right.
Because I knew him. But the only person I didn't know was Loretta Young.
Okay, so I have to ask, do you remember what movie it was? What was
Peter Sellers?
It was a people. Do you remember which one?
I don't remember.
You don't know.
The movie.
Wow, that's great. And so, do you remember? Was it when you were? So, was this in the south of Spain?
No.
When was this?
Beverly Hills.
Okay.
At Ricardo's house.
And what year?
2 years after we made the movie.
Okay.
I went to his house. But we had been on the phone.
Yeah, sure.
But one time I'm on my way to Big Bear to see this hippie girl, and I drove. I had been to their house before.
Yeah.
On this trip, I just went to their house, and Ricardo's house. And
Okay.
It coincidence that Henry Fonda
Is that my water or your water?
That's mine.
Okay.
Yours is right behind you.
Right behind me.
Well, it was.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your story.
No, I saw it sitting right there.
That was it until Max. I put the lid on it. You're right. I had to take the lampshade off to get more light for the video.
I got it.
Thank you. So, anyways, back to the story. No, this is fun. That was one of the... Hey, Max. How are you? Can you sit? Go lay down. Man, I'm hearing about Ricardo Montalban's daughter.
She liked to dance. She loved to dance. That's a better word, love.
Yeah.
She had a thing for dancing. And
Go lay
we
down.
both did, because I like to dance. She used the whole dance floor.
Awesome. So, you know, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Larry, is the other day we went down to try to help your stepdaughter. And as we were whizzing through the streets of San Francisco in your Toyota Corolla, that's a Toyota Corolla, is that right?
That's right.
The top was down, and what were you saying about a woman? If you had a woman in your life, how would you feel?
Right now?
Yeah, if you had a woman right now.
I don't think I would be depressed like I am right now.
Yeah.
I think my spirits would be lifted. I think I'd be an okay guy. And I have my shit together.
And do you remember what we talked about and, you know, kind of the questions I asked you yesterday?
Give me a hint.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I wanted to talk to you more about that because I was curious as to what sort of woman that you wanted, right? And if you could, you know, like if you had and you actually have some really sort of clear expectations about that, right? You said she should be smart, and I asked you how smart, right? You know, and it doesn't have to be a PhD, but a master's degree would be nice, right?
I think I would have said that.
Yeah, and so what was the age group? What's your
50?
So somebody, I think you said 55 to 62 or so.
I think I'd stretch to 55, but
Yeah.
I would prefer 50.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
a woman 60 does not do anything for me.
Why? Well, I mean,
Well, not that I haven't met a woman. Now, if I had met, say, a woman that is sexually appealing still at 60, well, I had no problem. 68, my age, sexually appealing,
yeah,
likes to kiss and make out. I said, that would be fine with me, but I'm not going to meet a woman 68 years old that likes to go out make out in the car. Just have some fun.
It's interesting because I got to tell you, this is one of my little guilty secrets or whatever. I was watching that. There's a show on TV. It's Joan Rivers. Do you remember Joan Rivers?
Yes, I do.
And her daughter Melissa, and like Joan Rivers is apparently living with her daughter, as old as she is. I don't even know how old she is, right?
It's got to be old.
Yeah, but I think so. The kind of, I'll set the scene up for you. It was her daughter put together an intervention for her because she was getting more plastic surgery, right? And her face is just pulled really tight, and actually everyone is afraid that because of this elective plastic surgery that it's going to harm her somehow, But she actually ended up like saying, "Hey, if I paid for something for you guys to do, you would all get some sort of elective plastic surgery done." So, I mean, it was a pretty interesting scene. But let me sort of loop this back to what you were talking about, right? I don't think that Joan Rivers, because her skin is pulled so tight, because she's had so many facelifts, that she's capable of puckering up to kiss you at her age.
That's very good.
Yeah, but again, I have to imagine that there are some women that are that old. I'm thinking about my wife, right? In 20 years, what did you say about my wife? You said, I'll tell you what you said, you old dog. You said you better keep her. She's cute. And you know what happened when I told her that? She got all happy and she liked it. So I don't know.
Well, that's good. I like that you said that to her, and she felt good.
Thanks. Hey, Larry. Again, it's a little bit over 10 minutes. I enjoyed these conversations, and I look forward to our next one. Thanks.